Okay, so let's start the next half hour. Okay, so where we ended was looking at CAN bus sniffing and that kind of stuff. So I I kind of jumped ahead in the actual sniffing portion, but where the hell do you connect this CAN bus thing to your car? And you don't have to do any modifications. You just take two pieces of wire and let's look at Wikipedia. OBD-II. Okay, so every car from like 1990s something going forward had an OBD2 um, connector. It's basically underneath the steering wheel, easy to get to for mechanics. But what I want to show you is pin 6 and pin 14, pin 6 and pin 14. That's your CAN bus high and low. That's where you connect. Where are you? That's where you connect two wires. See the little, see the green part. See the little. There's basically set screws, so you can attach a wire to it, and you attach that wire to literally that pin and that pin, and you're in. And what else is nice is in the future when you want to actually attach your data logger to your car, you don't have to modify any wiring. I want to stress this. You don't have to modify your car at all to do any of this. Zero modifications. Okay, so you're just going to buy a connector that connects to this from Newark, that company, and pin 16 is your power, and let's see here, where's your ground? Um, Chassis ground, pin 4. So pin 4 is your ground, pin 16 is your power for your data system, your CAN bus high is pin 6, your CAN bus low is pin 14. Easy peasy. So simple. So now you're in and you're going to record your data. Now, we got to keep this within budget. Okay, so when you did your sniffing and you found your channels and you found what how frequency, what hertz they update. So let's say, um, like for the Miata, it was 100 hertz. Now, a good thing here. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit here. Okay, I'm jumping ahead just a little bit, but my lateral and longitudinal G trace comes from the actual data logger, not from the car. Even though that these lateral and longitudinal G um, does come from the car also. At in the Miata it comes at 100 hertz, but the sensors at the inlay data logger itself do 250 hertz, and so you get 16-bit 250 hertz. So it's even better, um, more descriptive. I like to use of what actually is going on with the car. Um, and so to compare this 250 hertz with what a 100 hertz signal looks like is this. See a little stair stepper, but let's look at. Um, let's actually look at braking section. Yeah, this is a good piece. Um, let's look at this piece right here. It's not the actual. So this is what 100 hertz 16-bit data looks like. The primary colors of blue and red are the front tires. So red is right, blue is left, and then I also made the warm color is the right side. So orange being a warm color is the right rear, and green is the left rear. And you can actually see the ABS going off, and you can see having wheel speeds. Now, wheel speeds are great, but I don't use them that very often. But unless you're dealing with some traction issues, then it can help. Like, are you looking at what your limited slip differential is doing, your brake pads, and whatnot? Then it can be really helpful. Working on the car, not the driver, but what is the car doing? Wheel speeds are really nice to have. But if you're looking for just driver improvement, then you just need the main five. That long, steering, brake, and gas. But anyways, so the reason I went into that is there's a thing called, how do you spell it? Nyquist. Yep. So Nyquist sampling. Recording of data. This is actually really important, but it's simple to. You basically want your samples to be twice the frequency of your data. So like this is the sample rate is the red line, and what you're recording is the dashed line. And this way, you don't lose any data. You don't. It's not truncated or abbreviated, or it basically it's a simple theorem, but it's very applicable. And so basically what you think is you look at, where are you? You look at your frequencies, you times it by 2, and that's what the recording frequency should be. So let me see if I can show you. Here we go. These are all the signals that I'm recording, but I'm not using all of them. There's some I didn't even defined, but that's your sample rate. So, for example, my G-force long and G-force vert, which is an internal sensor, is at 500 hertz. That's the limit of my my data logger. You don't need this much unless you're doing with G-force sensors. Is really helpful, and especially shock pots, which is after wheel sensors. The next thing is shock potentiometers, so you can actually see what the suspension's doing, which is helpful if you're dealing with aerodynamics. Put an aero on the car. How is it affecting the suspension? How is the suspension affecting the aero? Whatnot. But that's getting beyond what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about driver performance engineering. But anyways, so let's go. So that's all well and good. We realize that we only have to spend so far we spent $110 on the book and $30 on the sensor. Okay, so $130. Or this thing so you can sniff your car. What's next? Okay, next is the actual data logger. A lot of people use AIM. I have nothing against AIM. I'm happy that AIM has finally updated their software. The reason I went Motec and not AIM is because when I was buying my and building my system in, I think it was 2020 or 2019. I think it was 2019. It was right before COVID. I thought it was humorous that I was doing all this right before COVID and everything was shutting down. Um, uh, let's see here. I looked at AIM, and at that point, they hadn't updated their software in 17 years. So I was looking at their hardware and software was kind of abandonware. I mean, if they're not going to support it, then I'm not buying into it. So, but they just started updating. Well, they put out their first update that was a final version. It was a year or two ago, but they're I don't have anything against them, but I prefer my personally I prefer Motec. But everybody thinks, oh, Motec, that's what the pros use. I mean, if you go look at a GT3 car, uh, um, I don't know about Formula One or IndyCar, but definitely GT3 car. Probably the endurance guys, they're using Motec because of the software, I think. I mean, there's nothing special about the hardware. The software is very flexible. But let's look at Motec. Motec is a company that's been around for decades out of Australia. And actually, Bosch bought them out. Um, and I think they bought them. So if you look at the displays and the motorsport displays, motorsport ABS systems, their motorsport ECUs, it's all Motec stuff. They just, instead of spending the money and developing it themselves, they just bought the company. But looking at their data loggers, I've actually looked at a GT3, the new Ferrari, and it uses the L180. And this is the one I have, the L120. The big difference between the L180 and the L120 is L180 can do math channels internally, and it has more, has double the sample rate, which unless you're doing IndyCar speeds, 200 or Formula One speeds, 200 miles an hour, you don't need that high of a sample rate. And the L120 is 500 hertz, and the L180 has twice as much storage. 120 megabytes doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing with just numbers, it's plenty. You could record for like 12 hours with those 6 channels and not fill up the 120. I think I'm pretty sure. I can't fathom other than endurance racing, as in like 24 hours of lemons kind of thing. Yeah, you don't need huge amount of storage, and if you want a huge amount of storage, just buy the USB version. So you put a little USB stick in there. But anyways, you buy the basic thing, and then you have to. It's kind of a la carte, but you want to have this logging so you can actually record. So there it is. Now, this is a sticky wicket, but let's see here. Where's America? Oh, Okay, so dealers. So let's see if he's still on here. Yep, electron speed. Eric Sheeb. I'm probably mispronounced. This is the guy that I bought my system from, and he was giving me some minor support, really minor support. But I had like a question on um, hexadecimal bits and 16, how 16 bits is done with hexadecimals, and I had a question that he helped me with, but elsewise I solved it myself. It doesn't this the the manual for Motec is great. I mean, it's I mean, you can learn the software just by reading the manual. Okay, that's the software, and then that's I don't know if I have that software on this computer. Probably not. No. The manual for the actual setting and configuring uh, the logger is just as good. You don't need these people. But the sticky wicket is when IMSA started limiting what they could do with data recordings. Um, Basically, it forced Eric out of a job, and so like here's electron speed, and this is his. He he no longer. I think that's Eric right there, but I don't think he sells anything anymore. I tried calling him, and he doesn't do this anymore. And um, so if I need support, I just go to Motec USA, talk to them. That they have engineers, actual engineers that give you support. And so if I'm getting my support from Motec themselves, and I'm not supporting some dealer or trying to keep food on their table, and I'm just buying and getting my support from Motec themselves, then um, I don't feel the need to buy the stuff from a U.S. dealer. I'll buy the stuff from Australia dealer because it's from Australia, and the the let's see here. Um, the conversion rate from Australia dollar to American dollar is nice, and uh, so I'm gonna buy my stuff from PowerTune Australia. As you can say, they support all the parts of Motec. Okay, so we still have to stay within our budget. We've so far spent I think it was $140 for the book and um, the analyzer interface thing. So here's PowerTune. I've actually bought stuff. I didn't buy I upgraded my logger with a shift light thing, but 120. And there you go. The L120 logger with the logging enabled is $1,849. Australian dollars. Okay, so let's convert that to US dollars. $1,849 Australian AUD to USD. Okay, so let's get our calculator out. We have spent $109 on the book plus $30 for the analyzer, and we played around with it and learned how to make the tools and understand what we're doing. Okay, now it's time to spend some serious money. Okay, so we're going to spend 1,800, excuse me, $1,185.45. So our grand total is $1,324. And if we looked, which it's within the opportunity costs of the tires and front brake pads for the Miata and the tires and front brake pads for the BMW. Okay. It does not cost a lot. That's all you need. So let's see here. So now you have the logger, you know where to hook it up in your car to right there. And you have the software, and you have the book to build this tools, and you know the prices. And so the next part is the actual analysis. So let's do I'll stop the stream now, and we'll start the next stream, and we'll actually look at the data of the crash and figure out why the hell did the car do what it did. Was it me? Was it the car? Was it something else? And let's figure this out so we don't do it again, because I don't like going off track. I like having fun with my car and trying to improve my driving myself.